Shalom, shalom. Good morning, Most High in Christ bless. I wanted to document a video or share with you guys the reason why we decided to minimalize our items and become minimalist. We are in the process of basically downsizing the amount of things that we own, and the reason why we decided to do this, or the reason why I started, is I realized that I just had too many stuff. When it came time to do laundry or just clean up, I realized it was a lot of stuff that I had to manage and maintain, and I was spending more time cleaning and rearranging and organizing versus actually having free time to do other things. The boatload of laundry was just absolutely ridiculous, and it dawned on me one day that we don't need all of these things. Majority of the stuff that we were wearing were things that we like to wear, so we were grabbing the same pieces over and over again, yet we had a closet filled with clothing and drawers filled with clothing and bins filled with clothing. So for us, it was more of a life-changing reason why I decided to go into this minimalism journey, because I wanted to simplify the way we were living. And I realized that having too much stuff is a form of gluttony. So we had all these things that were just sitting there and no one was really using them. It also allowed a clearer mindset. I realized that my environment played a big impact on the way I felt, my mood, and everything. I would walk into a room and it's just so much stuff, and it would really aggravate me, and I realized that it was really affecting my mood and the way I felt every time I walked into that particular space. So by streamlining everything and just making it a clearer space, I felt better, and in fact everybody else felt better. The children were a little bit happier. My husband was a little bit happier because it wasn't so much stuff crowding our space. Another reason why starting this minimalism journey was very important for me is, and I'm going to go back a few years ago. I lived in Texas, and I went to go care for my mom at her home, and I just packed like a suitcase of things just for the time that I'm there. And I ended up being there for about a year, and I realized within that year I was able to live out of my suitcase with just the things that I packed, the bare necessities. So the things that I had at home became a burden because I was no longer interested in those items anymore. I no longer used them, but yet they were taking up all this space. So that kind of started the journey on minimalizing our living situation and just keeping it cluttered free and downsizing with how many things we actually own. So for those who are interested in going into a minimalism journey, I would always advise and suggest to start off small. Don't do like what I did. I completely just went in and started pulling things out of the closet, and it took me a whole day just to kind of sort through things, and the room was a mess. What I would always suggest, like I mentioned in my blog post, if you guys have not read that yet, definitely go visit www.eclecticjojo.com. I list 5 simple steps that you can take that would easily simplify your space. So what I did is I would stand in the room and I would scan the room and see what items were either out of place or were no longer beneficial or just not being used. And I started with that particular item. For example, we have a dining room and a dining room table that we were not really using. We're not really a sit down at the dining room table type of person. We usually lounge out on the patio or we're in the living room, and we're just not utilizing that space. So I decided to toss or donate that table and turn that area into a study area where we all can use it, and it cleared up so much space. So definitely look at the different things that you have around your home that you can actually toss out, and it won't negatively affect your life. The next thing I would suggest is to go through your clothing. I'm pretty sure there are items that you no longer wear because they don't fit, or they're just outdated, toss those things out, and it would kind of help you start basically grouping items that you actually want, items that you actually want to donate, and items that are simply just trash. Another big thing I would suggest is go through your shoes. I realized that I was gravitating towards the same shoes all the time while others just sat there and I just didn't use them. So I started tossing those out, donating them as well. Another thing I would always suggest is to have a maybe pile. And what a maybe pile is basically a set area where you're keeping items that you're not too sure of what you want to do with it, whether if you want to keep it, donate it, or if it's just a sentimental item. Keep those items there, and when you're ready, revisit them in about 2 weeks or so to see if you still care for those items. If not, definitely toss those out and continue doing that, and you will notice that you can get through a lot of items and not feel so guilty about tossing certain items out. Well, that's all I have for today for my little tips on how to start your minimalism journey. Make sure you guys subscribe and definitely visit my website. I will be posting more videos in regards to my minimalism journey and ways that you can start to help your family live a simple life. Shalom.